Apex Legends is good, but it can be better. There's plenty of additions that would make the quality of life so much better, and fans have been asking Respawn to add them for years, but to no avail. I figured I'd bring my own suggestions to the table with these 10 things that needs to be added to Apex Legends to make it a way better game than it is today. But first, big thanks to Outplayed for sponsoring this video. Don't you wish you could capture every kill, win, or even death? Outplayed automatically records in the background and makes clips of, well, what you tell it to. Whatever you choose will show up on the timeline for your convenience, allowing you to look back and decide what you want to do with the highlights that you've decided on, including exporting small clips or even full games to YouTube. Whether you want to trim a clip and send it to the group chat or review your own dev to see what you could do better, Outplayed's got you covered. Outplayed supports over 300 games and the list just keeps getting bigger. Check out the link in the description and download Outplayed for free today. If you guys disagree with anything or want to add something to the list, just let me know in the comments. So before we get the obvious jokes, let me start with the suggestion that Respawn simply takes a season off and work on the bugs. This has been done in other games, namely Rainbow Six Siege with Operation Health. Operation Health was a major updated release instead of an expansion and was a bug fix and technology introduction program that was released for free with no cost and of course featured no new content. In Apex Legends terms, the developers forewent creating new content such as maps, guns, or legends, and instead it took a whole season off to clean up the backend and resolve some issues that desperately needed fixing. Another reason why they might need to take a whole season off and not introduce any new features is that new features introduce new bugs. Hence why they took a whole season off. Operation Health has been crowned a success by many in the gaming community, and as far as fan requests go, is a very common request to the Apex Legends developers. And with the seasons becoming more and more dry, with decreasing amounts of content, I mean, look at this newest Season 14 teaser. They couldn't figure out anything to market with, so they just told us, oh yeah, we're raising the level cap. Usually this place will be filled with something like a new legend, a new weapon, or something else that's really cool. Maybe this is an excellent chance to get two birds stoned at once and both fix issues to gain favor with the community, but also get some more time to think of new content that you actually can release. Speaking of adding content, I've been thinking about this for a while. That would be really cool, would be evolving skins. Sort of like in Call of Duty, where you unlock different skins by doing different challenges, and if you do all the challenges for the gun, you unlock a gold or diamond plated camo. This might be hard to do in Apex's current payment model, but something like that would be really cool and might add something to grind for, as well as adding a little bit to EA's bottom line. Next up is another feature that I know that everyone would love, which would be death cams. For those who aren't in the loop, a death cam is a reverse point of view showing you how the enemy who killed you, well, killed you. This has several amazing uses. It gives you a chance to see how you died from the enemy's perspective and, ultimately leave you in awe. It can be a great way to see what mistakes that you made from a third-person perspective to learn for the next time, and it will be a great tool to deter cheaters. If a cheater kills you with an obvious aimbot or any other cheats, you will have them caught in 4K and there's nothing they can do about it while you're waiting for the banhammer to drop. That being said, I'm pretty sure that kill cams is a huge patch on its own and would need a lot of work on the back end if you would want to pull this off. So while we're at it, I think Apex would benefit from something else sort of in the same vein, which is the replay system. The replay system does exist in Source to a certain extent, though I'm not sure how accessible it is and whether it's as simple as just copy pasting it into a new Source game. A replay is a carbon copy of a game that took place that saves every position, every shot, and everything else that happened in the game in a lightweight text format. You could use this to go into a game and rewatch your own highlights, fly around to spectate what everyone else were doing, and it can even be used for manual anti-cheat measures. It would definitely make content creation a lot easier, since you can just simply rewatch your cool moments in 3D while flying around and snapping some pretty awesome angles. Speaking of content creation, I do content creation. Do you like the content I create? Make sure to hit the like button, thank you. On to number 8 is a quality of life change that would save us all a lot of headaches. Specifically the option to choose a backup legend. I mean, how many times have you been away when you're queuing up, maybe getting a drink or something, only to pop into the queue and then someone else picks the legend that you have selected, and then the game just randomly forces you onto someone that you never play and never want to play, like Mirage or Loba. I will not apologize to the Mirage or Loba community. While some people welcome that change, it does feel like a huge waste of time and something that could easily be prevented with such a small QOL change. While you're at it, give us a chance to choose 2 backup legends, just in case your backup happened to get picked as well. And while you're at it, why not add a random legend button? Hell, what about an LTM? Sometimes you might just want to get challenged and play a random legend without having to give it any thought. As for number 7, this might not be as relatable for you guys watching, but it would be amazing for us content creators and would make creating Apex Legends Legends content a little bit more viable. I'm of course talking about creator codes. These are very common in Fortnite, where accepted creators will earn 5% of the value of the in-game purchases made using their creator code, meaning they can get a nice secondary passive income just for creating Apex content. Despite giving up a little bit of money, this actually would be great for EA and Respawn as well, since creators would be more happy to play the game and make content, as well as being more positive to purchasing skins to a certain extent, and it would be great for players as well, as they get a chance to support their favorite content creators just by buying something that they like. Again, this would mean that EA would need to let go of a percentage or so of their Dragon's share, and I'm not sure if they're ready to make that happen just yet, but we might just be in luck since we recently got team bundles and custom banners for selected esport organizations ahead of the ALGS Championship, and this might have opened a door for creator codes in the near future. On to number 6 is a complete overhaul of the Matchmaker, especially in Ranked. And I've talked about this quite a few times already. The Season 13 rank changes were good, but it didn't matter because the Matchmaker in the backend seems to favor low queue times instead of competitive games, which leads to unbalanced lobbies with golds and platinums against Predator and Pro players. If the Matchmaker would instead focus on putting Predators and Masters together at the cost of longer queue times, I'm sure that everyone would be happy. And if that wouldn't make you happy, hear me out for number 5. Respawn could add things to do when you're queuing. Currently, you just queue up and you get to stare at the lobby screen while the timer slowly ticks away. But we can draw inspiration from another AAA game like Overwatch, which had similar issues with long queue times, and they ended up fixing the problem by allowing the player to do a bunch of things while in the main menu and queuing. They could either enter the fire range and play around with movement, abilities, or dummies. They could even join a deathmatch lobby to get their hands warm, or even join a custom workshop game mode just to play around and have fun. While Apex doesn't have most of those features, allowing us to either drop into the firing range or run around on the map would be a huge addition on its own. To build onto number 4 would be another addition that you're probably all thinking by now, which would be more game modes. I'm not talking about LTMs specifically, it could be permanent game modes as well. I mean, look at Apex Mobile. This has several game modes that can be played at a time, including Battle Royale, Ranked Battle Royale, Tutorial Level, Free Practice, the Limited Time mode, as well as Team Deathmatch, Arenas, and even something called Quick Battle, which reduces the players in the match to 30 from 60 and makes the area of play much smaller, and when you are dropping, the first ring is already closing and the second is quick to come after. These are again available all at the same time rather than coming back every once in a while, and would be amazing both if they're featured as full-fledged game modes or just something that you load into when you're sitting on a long queue and waiting for a properly balanced game. I would also love to see a more fledged firing range or the ability to customize it, give us more zones to play around with, make the bots more natural by default, and maybe even add a proper aim training section where we can practice flicks and tracking, but I digress. On to number 3 is something that comes up over and over and over and over, and it's cross progression. Back in late 2021, Respawn promised us that it would be coming in 2022, and it's still 2022, but it's currently nearing the end of July with nothing about cross progression in sight. It seems that in the event of cross progression, there also wouldn't be any account merging, and instead there will be an ability to move over your account from an old platform, meaning that people that have already made a switch would have to choose whether they want to get their old stuff onto the new platform or throw their new skins, badges, and stats away instead. With or without account merging, I would love to see this addition to the game in one way or the other, since it's something that has been requested by so many cross players with no update on the horizon. As for number 2, it might be a bit controversial, which is why I saved it for so late in the video. We're talking about Mercenary mode. This is inspired from Call of Duty, where the players couldn't enter into Team Deathmatch as a pre-made squad, but I obviously don't want full pre-made stacks to be unable to play. Instead, I'd love to see a spin on this where full stacks are only queued against full stacks, and then duos and solos are either put into the same lobby, or if that's not possible, just remove duo stacks from trios entirely. Just like a previous suggestion, this also existed in the game that I came from, which was Overwatch, where the Matchmaker would try really hard to make the stacks look equal on both sides, with, for example, 2 free stacks on both teams, free 2 stacks on the same team, or only full stacks up against each other. This really helps because you can't calculate how good a team is when they're stacked up, because on an individual level, they all might be, say, silver, but when pre-made together, the power of friendship might just be stronger than a full team of, say, solo platinums. This would also solve a lot of SPMM issues and make the game a lot more enjoyable for the average player who might not have anyone to play with. I'd argue for something like this in both ranked and public lobbies, but I'm not here to die on that hill today, just think about it. And just before we move on to number 1, I just want to thank all of you guys again for subscribing. We're well on the way to hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it wouldn't be possible without the 17.4% of you guys watching who hit that subscribe button. And as for the number 1 thing I'd love to see added to the game, we're looking at high performance servers, either in the shape of 60 tick or 128 tick servers. Now, Respawn has gone on record and explained that, oh, it isn't as simple as, oh, it's just raise the tick rate, and they probably aren't wrong. Still, the game feels slow, sluggish, and not really as responsive sometimes, with enemies killing you around corners. The hit rate feels horrible, and the reason we all ask for a tick rate increase is because Respawn has gone on record and said that we have a 20 Hz tick rate, which is very slow. That's about the same as Minecraft. And the hit rate feeling horrible typically would be fixed in other Source Engine games by simply raising the tick rate. Supposedly, tournaments run or used to run on high performance servers that supposedly had higher tick rates, though this was a word of mouth from pros and I actually couldn't find a source on this. All I can say is that playing in custom lobbies or on LAN used to feel a lot more responsive than the game normally does. But what about when it's patch day and the new changes just breaks the game? I've actually covered that in a video on the screen with the 10 worst patches in Apex history. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.